of you have ever sung in a choir, played an instrument, or even just sung hymns in church? I personally enjoy singing in choir and also playing the saxophone and the violin. It is important for students to get a music education because it could help them develop learning skills and perform better in school. I'm going to explain to you why students need to learn a musical instrument, the satisfaction it will bring them, a visualization of how this will benefit their everyday lives, and what you can do right now to get involved. It is important for students to learn a musical instrument. Did you know that the U.S. ranks below the OECD average in math, reading, and science? According to Joe Weisenthal, a reporter at BusinessInsider.com, the U.S. has dropped from 25th to 31st in world math education in only 3 years. James S. Catterall, who is a professor at UCLA's graduate school, states that whenever budgets go down, music and arts are the first things to get cut, usually. And many students experience stress in school. This might come from homework, sports, maybe a speech class. Susan Kuchinskas on WebMD states that researchers now know that playing a musical instrument can switch off the stress response, which improves your physical and emotional health. Now, some people could argue that if you're seriously learning a musical instrument and you're practicing regularly, this might actually cause you to have more stress. And sometimes this might be the case, so for some students, it might be better to learn an instrument recreationally. Now that you can understand why students need music education, I will tell you how to satisfy this need and the benefits that music can bring you. Now, what we need to do is have music education required in schools. For 1 year of primary school, students should have a year of music education learning an instrument. This might be band, handbells, or the recorder. For instance, at St. Paul's Grade School, they have their 5th grade students learn an instrument in 5th grade for a year. And then after that, they're not required to take the class any longer. But all students do participate in choir. James S. Catterall says, secondary schools must provide places for students to engage in their passions, experiences that balance the academic side of the institution and that help students grow their identities and feel competent. Now, I'm going to show you a video of a professional who, his name is Roger H. Brown, and he is talking about why music education needs to be required in public schools.
All the studies about education and learning show us that it's the motivation of the teacher and the motivation of the learner that have the most to do with whether the person learns. But there's this famous study done of foreign language learning that looked at total immersion and old-fashioned grammar, drill and repeat, learn vocabulary. And what they found is that either method worked beautifully if the student was motivated. And the thing that correlated most with the student's motivation was the teacher motivated. So if the teacher loves new methods, that probably works better. If the teacher likes old methods, that may work fine. So the number one reason to teach music in schools is there are a lot of students for whom that's the pathway to opening them up to the idea of learning in the first place. So when you practice an instrument every day, it gives you discipline. When you play in an ensemble, you learn to work with other people. When you learn to read music, you're learning a new language, and every language you learn makes the next one you learn easier.
So he mentioned some of the benefits of music, and students need to be introduced to music in school because if they're not, they might not ever know what's out there, and they might not know what they're missing. Also, Edward Droscher, who has a professional background in music, states that music can help improve teamwork skills, study skills, and it can help relieve stress. John J. Rady, MD, says, the musician is constantly adjusting decisions on tempo, tone, style, rhythm, phrasing, and feeling. Training the brain to become more organized and better at conducting numerous activities at once. Dedicated practice of this orchestration can have a great payoff for lifelong attention skills, intelligence, an ability for self-knowledge and expression. Now, I interviewed Dr. Marsh, and she has a doctorate in musical arts and piano performance. And she said that learning piano as a child and the discipline of having to practice helped her become a better student and learn to focus more in school. And whenever I asked her opinion on music education, she said that it's very important for students to learn an instrument. It's similar to a sport, really. It requires teamwork, discipline, and you really have to focus in a pressure situation. But most of all, it teaches you to be confident in everything you do. And then you can maybe transfer that into your daily life as well. Now that you know the benefits, you can start to imagine how these can be applied to your own life as well as the lives of other students. Now, music could help students develop lifelong skills, including teamwork, multitasking, ways to relieve stress, and most importantly, confidence. Also, if we have music education in schools, this could help improve standardized test scores, and potentially it could help the U.S. become higher ranked in world education. But also, students might just find that they enjoy a new hobby that they never would have learned if they didn't have music education. Now you can understand why students need to learn an instrument, the satisfaction it will bring them, and a visualization of how this can benefit their everyday lives. If you're interested in becoming more involved with music, there are many things that you can do right now. For instance, you can join your school choir, or you can research instruments you might enjoy. You can talk to your school music teacher, or you can take piano lessons. It is never too late to enjoy music and the benefits that it can bring you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.